Hello everyone, thank you for clicking on this video. My name is Max, and today I'm going to be doing my review for Loki episode 3. Alright, so this episode was a little bit more calm than the others. There was a lot of character development, and we found some things out about Loki and Sylvie, but there wasn't a whole lot going on with the TVA or the bombed timeline as we saw at the end of episode 2. And I think that was an interesting choice. I'm not sure I would have exactly done it like that because I think everybody's anticipation was built up based on that cliffhanger at the end of episode 2, but I do think it was a good gap in terms of letting the story breathe a little more and to flesh out characters and essentially kind of two new characters. You know, obviously we know Loki from 2012, but this Loki, as we've seen, is a lot more developed as a character aside from his, sinister side and what we knew from the Thor films prior to that. So I think this was a much needed episode. And yes, a lot of people are talking about Loki's bisexuality, and that is something that goes back into the comics and I believe the actual mythology of Loki in general. So for the people getting upset about that, think what you think, but it is something that is established for the character, so it's not them trying to push an agenda of any kind. And it was really just kind of a passing comment too, so it's not like they built the entire episode or series off of this. Like I think a lot of people were, at least what I saw online, a lot of people were a little bit worried about that, but it seems like it really will be something that is more just contained and letting people know, but is not going to be a huge factor of the story, which I think if they did that, it would have been a mistake given the kind of multiverse timeline aspect that this seems to be building up to. It wouldn't really be a point that needed to be explored a lot, but it is there if they want to explore it for the character of Loki or Loki variant or whoever they keep continuing with this character in the future. And now I do think it is interesting that we learn that Sylvie's been running from the TVA basically her whole life. She's not really out to get anyone in particular aside from whatever the timekeepers are planning. And I think that is kind of a cool dynamic to her character because her and Loki seem to have, whether it's a Loki thing or it's just their character thing, they seem to have a shared interest. So I think, as we saw in this episode, they are willing to work together even though they just met at the end of episode 2. And the fact that they're working together right now, whether it's some sort of Loki, bond or whatever they have, I don't know. But it'll be interesting to see if one of them stabs the other in the back or if this is a relationship of some sort that can be built into something else in the future episodes. Now, aside from those things, we didn't really get a whole lot else in this episode. It was a lot of character building, but I think this is going to be definitely one of my shorter reviews for this show just because there's not a lot to talk about in terms of the MCU or build-up. But there is one thing I want to touch upon, and that is the revelation that we learned the TVA, or everybody who works at the TVA, is a variant according to Sylvie. Now, we don't know if this is necessarily the case. I think she is telling the truth here just because it seems like she wouldn't necessarily have a reason to lie in this case. But that is kind of the big thing we are left with from this episode, is that everybody in the TVA is a variant. So it's really crazy to me that they have variants wiping out other variants to keep some sort of a timeline sacred. And I don't know fully if, the TVA or the timekeepers rather can be trusted at all, or if the TVA is really what they say they are. But I do think the people working there, such as Mobius, are not, evil necessarily, or not the majority of them. I think they're kind of, whether they are created or they're brought in as variants, we have to see. But I think they are kind of establishing this trust between the lower level people at the TVA and this distrust with the higher people at the TVA. So that's about all I have for now. Thank you so much for checking out this video. If you like it, please like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.